Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Sensational Designs and Creations. I'm your host, Jen with one N, and in today's episode we're going to tackle anything with DTF and ICC profiles. So if you're curious about what I'm talking about, then stick around, this is the video for you. So if you are wondering exactly what the heck is she talking about, what is an ICC profile and what does that have to do with DTF printing? Oh boy, does it have a lot. So I'm so glad that you're sticking around me today. To start off, an ICC profile varies depending on the ink that you are using specifically for your DTF printer. For example, the ink that actually came with the printer, I was not given the option to have an ICC profile with that. But as I started playing around and having different inks, I found an ink that when I ordered it and it came in, the box actually said on the outside, ICC profile included. So what you had to do was you had to email the customer service support. Once you emailed them and you asked them for the ICC profile, they sent it right over, which is awesome. But you have to make sure that you are using all of their ink. So at the time, I wasn't able to utilize it because I was only using the white ink at the time. Now I have upgraded and I am using all of their ink colors. So now I can go ahead and download their ICC profile. So what exactly does that still mean? I know it's a little confusing. So the company will send you a file that you download onto your computer and it gets uploaded into your RIP software. And each ink company will have their own ICC profile. So if you try out one ink company and you are not really a huge fan of the colors and perhaps you want to try a different ink company, make sure, number one, that they have an ICC profile available. See which one you like better. Play around. I think it's very, very important to keep your settings the same when you're printing out your sample color charts so that you can see the difference in vibrancy and which inks are the best for you and your prints. I am currently using an ink called Beryzol. It's Beryzol. This is the bottles. I did get the smaller bottles. These are about $49.99 if I'm not mistaken off of Amazon. So here it is on Amazon. It's actually $45.99 and there's a 10% off coupon that can be applied. And as you see here, it does come with 2 white ink bottles. If you want to splurge, say you're printing a lot on a daily basis, they also sell this online. I think it's about $130 and you get a nice size bottle instead. Here it is on Amazon. It is actually $129.99 and also has a 10% off coupon as well. And you can see that it also came with 2 white inks. I will eventually do that. I just bought the little ones to test them out first with the ICC profiles to make sure that I actually like them. I will have the link down below for these so you can order them from Amazon. Make sure that when you're using an entirely new ink that you go ahead and you drain out all of the old ink from the printer.
I actually have a video of me doing this, so enjoy.
We're going to change the ink out in the printer to now replace it with the new ink that has an ICC profile. In order to do so, you just need a couple syringes. I do suggest 1 syringe per color. I actually don't have enough per color, so last night I already pulled the magenta color out of here. I washed it out really good and thorough, let it air dry. So this way I have 4 good syringes to use for today. With the syringes, you want to make sure you have the tip piece so that you can get really down in there. You can use this tip piece. You can even use the one with the long needle look. I'm going to opt for this because I did this with the magenta and it did just fine. So here we go. Just going to open up your lid and, you know, start picking colors. You also want to make sure that you have containers to put your ink back into if you don't want to waste this ink, because obviously there's still ink in here. So for example, I still had the bottle that the magenta came in, so I just put that back into the magenta bottle. Now that's nice and big. I just went to the dollar store, Dollar Tree, and I grabbed these. I mean, it was a 2-pack for $1.25. I'm going to hope that these are big enough for this. I have actually like no clue, but we're about to find out. So here goes nothing. I think I'm going to just go in order. I'm just going to start with blues. Okay, so I just got done taking all of the blue out of the tray here. Once you get down to the bottom, you do want to kind of lift the container, pull it forward a little bit, try to get down into the little crevices in the corner, try to get as much out as you can. If you have a little bit left, it is okay, guys. Like I said, this is going to be messy. You are going to get stuff all over you. Once you're all done with that, then you do want to lift this up here. And you want to go inside here, and you want to go ahead and you want to pull up the blue. Okay, pull this up, this inkwell here, I guess you would call it. What you're going to do is you're just going to insert ever so gently, and you're going to pull out all of the ink from the line. So I was able to get 3 containers of blue from that. I'm going to just keep doing the same thing, guys. I'm now going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing with the other colors. I still have to do yellow, black, and white. Okay, so all of the ink is cleared out of both the side here, and then each tube was cleared out. I did leave the white in, and the only reason why I left the white in is because the white ink that's in here is already the ink that I'm going to be now using for all of the colors because it has the ICC profile. So that's the only one I did not do this to, but we are all done. Like I said, guys, there was no need for me to videotape that. It would have just been a waste. It's the same thing repeated. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get our new ink, and we're just going to put all the new ink back in. So this is the new ink. Like I said, this is called Beryzol. I'm sorry if I'm saying it incorrectly, but it's Beryzol. It's premium DTF ink, direct-to-film textile ink. And you can see here it says ICC profile available. You just got to email them. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Going to go ahead and start squeezing it in. Now that the magenta is in, you do need to go back to your line and you need to suck back out some of the ink, just like you did when we were taking it out. I'm going to use some of these new syringes because my other syringes are still wet. And you don't have to use that big old thing. You can just leave it like this. This is plenty. So I'm going to dedicate this one to my magenta. What I might even do is I might start writing on these too. Just going to stick it in the bottom there, guys. And I can see it already coming. When you're doing this, very important, take the ink and put it back into the side. Do not waste it. I'm going to do it maybe like one more time. There wasn't a whole lot that came out. So I'm going to go ahead and pop it back down. And then once again, I'm taking this excess here and I'm putting it back into the magenta. Now the magenta is fully done. And we're going to do the same thing for every color that we fill in. So on the sides, it's all filled in. I did the pull through for each line. So pretty much you just pull the line back out, you suck back out ink, you take the extra ink and you shoot it back down in here so you don't waste it. And you can see beautifully that all the lines here are all nice and filled up, because when you empty them out, you will be able to see that they're pretty nice and empty. So now they're nice and filled back up. So the next thing you do, you start it up. We're going to do a head cleaning, followed by nozzle check. We're going to make sure everything looks good. Once we know that it looks good, we are going to test out our very first image. Once all of your new ink is in, we can go ahead on our computer and open up the RIP software, and we can get started with downloading the ICC profile. Let's go over ICC profiles in the RIP program and how you can go ahead and turn the function on and off. It's actually quite simple, and then I would like to show you what they do as far as the ink changing goes. So an ICC profile to start is actually supposed to give you a little bit more realism when it comes to your colors that are more on the screen. Of course, you still have your color settings. Don't forget about that, guys. So your color settings down below here that you can play around with. Bear in mind that you play around with them. It will still change the colorings up a little bit. So I am going to show you how to achieve a color chart that you can print out. Keep it on one setting so you can see what your colors will look like all the time and how to utilize that. So without further ado, once you have your ICC profile downloaded per the instructions that the ink company have given you, and you want to turn it on, right on your color, right on the third tab, your color tab down the bottom here, you're going to see the ICC profile button. You can already see that mine's turned on, and here's the name of the actual file that I downloaded. But you would just go in, click the ICC profile. You would usually this is unchecked, so it would be like this. But in order to use it, you would just check it, find your ICC profile through all of these names, and trust me, there's a lot. Once you found it, click on that, and then you're going to leave it on relative color metric. I'm also going to show you different settings. For example, we have perceptual, photo, and we also have saturation. I printed out a bunch of tiny little designs with each one of these categories with all the same setting to be able to show you what each category does and what it looks like. And I also want to show you how the different color options over here can affect your prints. I never really ever see anybody on YouTube ever posting about colors. You'll see videos that will say the best settings for DTF. Well, guess what? I've watched those videos, and when those videos pull up, there's nothing in those videos that talks about color settings, and I think this is the most crucial and the hardest thing about DTF printing is right here, the color settings. So I want to be known for being that go-to YouTube creator that has the content that you're looking for that you truly cannot find anywhere else. Right. To start off, it is very important that you guys get yourselves a good color chart. I actually downloaded this from another YouTube creator, and I will go ahead and include in the description below how you guys can achieve one as well. There's 2 pages total. You want to print them and you want to cure them. And you have 2 options. You can either leave them just like this, or you can actually press them onto a shirt. And if you actually look really closely, it's going to be blurry for you guys, but there's little black text. What those black numbers are underneath is it tells you what the RGB and the CMYK numbers should be if you want to use that color. So if you're printing out something and you notice that, say, the color needs to be a specific purple, but it's not really quite showing up properly, even with the ICC profile on. You can open up your Photoshop and you can edit it, and you can change it to say, like, this is the right color. You would edit it to this color, so now when it prints out, this is how it will look. This is the color chart with no ICC profile. Let's look at a specific area that's going to be really obvious that it's going to look different. So guys, look at this area here. Look at the top 2 rows. Look at those colors and how muted they are. Very, very pale, right? Now watch what happens when I apply the ICC profile. This is insane. Look at that. Holy cow. This is how your colors should look, not like that before. So it is very important that the ICC profile be used if you truly want to have your colors be represented the way that they should be more properly and accurate. And what's important is whenever you print out these color charts, it is very important that you make sure whatever color setting that you choose to print them out on, you want to make sure you use that color setting when you're printing. For example, the color setting that I used for these was a 65% overall ink limit, had a 100% ink limit for white. So what happens is, as long as my ink settings stay that way when I print out all the time, these are always going to be the colors that come out, okay? If I change my ink settings at all, then these colors will be affected. But you sometimes need to change your ink color settings due to if you need the image to be a little bit lighter or say even a little bit darker. So that's what we're going to get into next. So the first thing I was doing here was showing you the difference with an ICC profile versus no ICC profile. And just right away you can see, and I'm going to do this again. I'm going to show you another section. Look at this section here. Take a quick gander at this section here. Now, look at this section here. This is with an ICC profile. That is insane. You might be thinking to yourself, hey, Jen, with one N, I can't read what these colors are. So how am I supposed to figure out if I ever needed to change the colors, how to do that? Something that I do is I'll actually find the file on my computer and I will actually keep it open. This is a bit extreme, this is a bit much, but this is fine for me. If you have a bigger DTF printer where you can make the image wider, like bigger, then you can just make the file bigger when you print it, which is no biggie, but I do not. So for example, here's my image here. I would just open this up and all I would simply do is I would just like zoom in on the image whenever I need to. So for example, like I go really far in and I just kind of count over where I am. So I'll go over to the end and I'll be like, oh, okay, it's the third one in from the second row. So I'll be like, second row, 1, 2, 3, up there it is. And right below are the CMYK numbers that you want to use when you're in your Photoshop. Okay, now I'm going to get down to the nitty gritty and I'm going to really show you what these color settings will do and just how crazy this is. So let's start off first with, I had turned the ICC profile off. This is with the ICC profile off. I did a little design for 100 days of school, and please do not mind the mess here. These are my little mess arounds. This is an ICC profile off. I will start by saying, first off, I had a really hard time getting these colors right in general. And the reason why I had a hard time getting them correct anyways was because these colors are actually more muted, but it didn't look bad with them being like brighter greens. In fact, my customer was okay with it being the way it was. But let me show you what happens when I go ahead and I turn on the ICC profile. Like, look at that. Look at the squares, guys. There's no longer white in there. Everything is more of the correct green that it should be. This is insane. So once again, we have on the left a no ICC profile, and to the right with an ICC profile turned on. Next, I told you, if you remember correctly, do you remember where I told you that the ICC profile has 3 different sections? Well, let me show you what each one looks like. So here's your relative color metric. And then here is your photo, okay? So you can see it definitely got a little bit lighter. And then this is your saturation. All 3 of these were printed out on the same exact color, ink color limit. And you can see the difference. The only real difference I see is the photo one in the middle. It definitely lightened up the inks a bit. If I place the saturation next to the relative color metric, you really can't see like any difference. I mean, I'm trying real hard. There's maybe a little bit darker on the relative color metric. So you guys can see it doesn't do too much of a difference, but usually most people use relative color metric when you're using an ICC profile. Now let's go into another image. I want to show you this. I did another 100-day of school image for somebody, and I want to show you what happened. This was no ICC profile. These flowers are supposed to be more of a neon. This is with a ICC profile. You can now see that the colors of the purple are really starting to be the proper colors that they should be, but they're still not quite neon. So earlier I told you how you can take these color charts that I showed you and you can change the colors yourself. And that is what I did. This is the closest that I got. It is not neon by no means, but on the left is me changing the color of the purple based off of my color charts versus just the plain ICC profile of the way it was before. So you can see the difference. We have a 30% ink limit. We have a 40% ink limit. You can start to see that that's getting darker. Remember, the smaller the number, the lighter it goes. The higher the number, the darker it goes. And we even have a 50%. So let's just observe that for a second and see that difference. What I was trying to do here was I was trying to get it to be closer to those muted colors, and no matter what I was doing, it was not working. It is very hard, so if there's anybody watching that's really great with DTF, one of my biggest things that I have an issue with is anytime that there is both a light and dark color like so in an image, I have a very hard time getting them to be correct. So if you're watching this and you're amazing at DTF and figuring that out, please let me know the trick, because that's the one area I'm not great at. This is right here. This is if your ink limit box is what's checked. If it's highlighted and your white ink limit is also at 100%, this is what would happen. I'm going to show you what would happen if you actually had one of the colors checked instead of the ink limit box. So to start, this is your ink limit box checked. 30%, 40%, and 50%. Now, why am I telling you that? Because when you have the ink limit box checked, it does not matter what your ink limits are for each individual color. And this is why I'm showing you, because I'm doing this for you. I tested all of that out. And now I'm going to show you what happens when you have your individual ink limits highlighted. Okay, so one of your inks has the little blue mark next to it. These are all the same settings for ink limits, but now you're changing your individual color ink limit and you're making sure that that part is highlighted and not the ink limit part. I hope this makes sense. I can try to show you in a minute. So to start, remember, the lower the number, the lighter it is. So I was trying to mess with the greens, and blue and yellow make green. So hence me messing around with just the blue and yellow. So this is the blue and the yellow at a 10%, and you can see how light it gets. Notice I kept the black darker. The black was probably still at, I think it's at a 40%. Yes, it was 40%. Oh, and by the way, I do apologize. My inks, my whites were not at 100%. They were at 70% for these. So we have white at 70%. But I have highlighted the blue, and when you're highlighting the blue area, it will then focus more on the individual colors. So we changed the blue and the yellow to 10%, and this is what it gave us. Really, really light. Now let's take it to the next level, which is 20% blue and yellow. And then look how it starts to darken up. Starting to darken up. Okay. Still not where I wanted it to be, so I tried 30. Here we go. 30%. Gets darker. And then I tried a 40%. Now I'm going to show you the difference. This is with the individual colors selected, and these are with the ink limit selected. Let's do the same percentages next to each other, shall we? So we're going to take the 30%. We're going to take the 30% blue and yellow, and we're going to put that right next to the 30% ink limit. And when you look, they look very similar, but this one is actually a little bit darker. Like, look at that black. It's more vibrant. So this ink limit messes with the entire image overall. Individual ink limits messes with each individual color that's on the actual image itself. That's it. So definitely get your color charts printed out ASAP. Trust me, you will thank me. If you liked what you saw today and you found this video informational, don't forget to help me out. hit that like button down below, subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, hit that bell down below to give yourself a little ding-a-ling notification for every time I post a new video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much for being here. Leave some comments and some love down below. I'll get back to everybody, and I'll see you guys later.